The silence in the room wasn't just quiet. It was heavy. It was the kind of silence that has weight, pressing down on your chest, suffocating you. We were sitting in the private dining solarium of the Azure Coast, one of the most exclusive resorts in Malibu. My sister-in-law, Brittany, was holding court at the head of the table, her diamond tennis bracelet clinking against her champagne flute as she laughed too loudly at her own joke. Then, my 8-year-old nephew, Leo, tugged on my sleeve. I looked down. Leo had chocolate cake smeared on his chin. He looked innocent enough, but his eyes held that curious cruelty that only children can possess when they are parroting adults. "Aunt Morgan?" he asked, his voice cutting through the ambient chatter like a knife. "Yes, Leo?" I whispered, trying to keep the peace. He pointed a sticky finger at my face. "Why are you here?" I froze. "What do you mean, buddy?" "It's the family reunion." Leo shook his head vigorously. "No," he said loudly. "Mom says you're not family. Mom says Grandma just bought you from an orphanage because she was bored. Mom says you're what's the word? A stray." The room stopped. My mother dropped her fork. It hit the porcelain plate with a violence that made everyone flinch. My brother, David, turned pale. But Brittany? Brittany didn't look embarrassed. She didn't scold him. She took a sip of her Pinot Grigio, smirked over the rim of the glass, and shrugged. "Well," she drawled, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Kids have no filter, do they? But honestly, Morgan, he's not wrong about the biology, is he? It's a family reunion. Blood relatives usually take priority." I looked at her. I looked at the smug satisfaction on her face. She thought she had just put the adopted sister in her place. She didn't realize that the stray she was mocking was the only reason she was sitting in this room. She didn't know that the resort we were in, the resort she had been bragging about on Instagram all week, didn't just have my reservation. It had my name on the deed. To understand why Brittany felt comfortable insulting me in front of 20 people, you have to understand the dynamic of the Vance family. I'm Morgan. I'm 33. I was adopted when I was 5 years old. My parents, God bless them, loved me. But my older brother, David, always treated me like a guest who stayed too long. And when he married Brittany, the divide became a canyon. Brittany is what you call new money, with an old soul for cruelty. She loves logos. If a bag doesn't have a giant LV or CC plastered on it, she thinks it's trash. She loves status. She loves being the loudest person in the room. And she hates me. She hates me because I'm quiet. She hates me because I'm single. She hates me because I don't fawn over her. To Brittany, I am Morgan the freelancer. She sees me working on my laptop in coffee shops. She sees my apartment, which is a modest loft in the arts district. She sees my clothes, simple linen shirts, tailored trousers, unbranded leather loafers. She interprets minimalism as poverty. She interprets privacy as shame. "Oh, Morgan," she likes to say at Christmas, handing me a gift card to a discount store. "I know things are tight with your little typing job. This should help with groceries." I never correct her. I never tell her that my typing job is managing Vance Ventures, a private holding company I started 6 years ago after selling a software patent for $40 million. I never tell her that I own 3 boutique hotels, a vineyard in Napa, and a majority stake in the resort chain we are currently visiting. I keep it secret because money changes people. I saw how Brittany treated David when he got a promotion. She spent his bonus before the check even cleared. I saw how she treated waitstaff, janitors, and anyone she deemed beneath her. If she knew I was wealthy, wealthier than her, David, and my parents combined, she wouldn't respect me. She would just try to use me. So, I played the role of the poor adopted sister. I drove a Prius. I let them pay for dinner at chain restaurants while they made snide comments about my appetite. "Order the salad, Morgan," Brittany would whisper. "It's cheaper. We don't want to strain David's wallet, do we?" I endured it. For my parents. My mom is getting older. She wanted one last big family reunion, a luxury vacation. But my dad's pension couldn't cover it. And David is house poor because Brittany demands a lifestyle they can't afford. So, I stepped in, anonymously. I told my parents I had won a contest at work, a raffle, an all-inclusive week at the Azure Coast. I lied. VIP villa, private chef, Everything paid for. My parents cried. They were so happy. Brittany? She was suspicious. A raffle? She sniffed when I told them. Probably a timeshare scam, but I guess if it's free, we'll go. I need a tan. She spent the entire flight complaining about the legroom and coach. I flew first class separately and met them there. She spent the first 3 days of the trip complaining about the small pool in the private villa, a pool that overlooks the Pacific Ocean. She treated me like the help. Morgan, watch Leo while I get a massage. Morgan, go fetch me a towel. Morgan, take a photo of me. No, not like that. Make me look skinny. God, you're useless. I took it. I swallowed my pride. I breathed in the ocean air and told myself, it's for Mom. Just get through the week. But tonight was the final dinner, and Brittany had decided that being a guest wasn't enough. She wanted to be the queen, and to be the queen, she needed a peasant to kick. The dinner was supposed to be the highlight of the trip. I had arranged for the chef's table, a private glass-walled room suspended over the cliffs. The sunset was painting the sky in violent shades of violet and orange. The smell of roasted sea bass and truffle oil filled the air. Brittany arrived late. Of course. She swept into the room wearing a neon pink dress that was tight enough to cut off her circulation. She dragged David and Leo behind her like accessories. She looked at the table. Then she looked at me. Ugh, she groaned, throwing her sequined clutch onto the tablecloth. Why are we sitting here? The light is terrible for photos. I wanted the table by the fireplace. This is the chef's table, Brittany, I said calmly. It's the best seat in the house. According to who? She snapped. You? What do you know about luxury? You probably think Red Lobster is fine dining. She sat down, taking the chair at the head of the table, the one reserved for my father. Dad didn't say anything. He just sat to her left, looking tired. The waiter, a young man named Julian, poured the water. Excuse me, Brittany barked, snapping her fingers at him. Boy, I asked for sparkling. This is still. Do I look like a tap water person to you? I apologize, ma'am, Julian said softly. I will change it immediately. And get me a drink, she commanded. A martini. Dirty. And make sure it's Grey Goose. I don't want the well-wrought goat you serve the tourists. I caught Julian's eye. I gave him a small, apologetic smile. He looked terrified. He didn't know who I was. I had booked everything under my assistant's name to keep the surprise. To the staff, I was just another guest in the raffle winner party. The insults started with the appetizers. So, Morgan, Brittany said, picking at her tuna tartare, David tells me you're still single, 33 and alone. Yikes. I'm happy, Brittany, I said, buttering a roll. Happy? She laughed. No woman is happy without a husband. It's unnatural, but I guess it makes sense. Men want legacy. They want pedigree. She glanced at my mother. No offense, Linda, but with Morgan's background, who knows what kind of genetics she's carrying? It's probably a blessing she hasn't reproduced. My mother gasped. Brittany, that is enough. I'm just being practical. Brittany threw her hands up. I'm looking out for the family reputation. We don't need any surprises popping up in the gene pool. It's Stanley. I felt a cold heat rise in my chest. I looked down at my hands. They were steady. My genetics are fine, Brittany, I said coldly. My biological parents were professors. Not that it matters. Sure they were, she smirked. And I'm the Queen of England. Then came the main course. And Leo's question. Mom says you're not family. Mom says you're a stray. After Brittany confirmed it, after she called me a stray in front of the entire table, the tension didn't break. It solidified. It became a physical wall between us. David finally spoke up. Brittany, apologize, he muttered, looking at his plate. That was cruel. I will not, Brittany hissed. I am speaking the truth. Look at her, David. Look at her clothes. Look at her attitude. She doesn't belong here. She's a charity case. Even this trip, she says she won a raffle. Please. I bet she begged her boss for a discount just to look important. She turned to me. Her eyes were glittering with malice. Actually, Morgan, she said, since we're being honest, I think you should leave. Leave? I asked. Yes. Leave the dinner. Leave the villa. We have family photos scheduled for tomorrow morning. And honestly, I don't want you in them. It confuses the narrative. You stick out. She pointed to the door. Go back to your little apartment. Let us enjoy the rest of the week as a real family. You've leeched off us long enough. Leeched? I asked. I paid for this trip, Brittany. With a raffle ticket, she scoffed. That's not paying. That's luck. And your luck just ran out. Now go. Before I call security and tell them you're bothering the VIP guests. I stood up. I wasn't leaving. I smoothed my linen trousers. I adjusted my silk cuff. I looked at Julian, the waiter, who was standing in the corner, looking like he wanted to disappear. Julian, I said. My voice was calm, commanding, the voice I used in boardrooms. Yes, miss? Please ask Mr. Sterling to come to the table. Brittany laughed. A harsh, barking sound. Mr. Sterling? Who is that? The manager? Are you going to tell on me? Go ahead. I'll have him fire you from your fake raffle. Just get him, Julian, I said. Julian nodded and ran out of the room. 2 minutes later, the doors to the private dining room swung open. Henri Sterling, the general manager of the Azure Coast, walked in. He was a tall, imposing Frenchman with a silver beard and a suit that cost more than Brittany's entire wardrobe. He didn't look happy. He looked concerned. Brittany immediately stood up, fluffing her hair, putting on her Karen face. Are you the manager? She demanded, stepping toward him. Finally. I have a complaint. This woman, she pointed at me, is harassing us. She's a guest of ours, but we want her removed. And the service has been slow. And my martini was warm. I expect this dinner to be comped. Henri didn't look at her. He walked right past her. He walked right past David. He walked straight to me. He stopped in front of me and bowed. A deep, respectful bow. Miss Vance, Henri said. My deepest apologies. Julian told me there was a disturbance. I came as quickly as I could. Brittany froze. Her hand, still pointing at me, wavered. Ms. Vance? She stuttered. Why are you talking to her? She's a nobody. I'm the VIP. I'm staying in the villa. Henri turned slowly to face Brittany. His face was like granite. The villa, Henri said, his accent thick with disdain, belongs to Miss Vance. What? Brittany laughed nervously. No. She won a raffle. There is no raffle, Henri said. Miss Morgan Vance is the owner of Obsidian Hospitality. She owns this resort. She owns the hotel in Tokyo. She owns the vineyard in Napa. She is my employer. The silence that followed was absolute. It was the sound of a world shattering. Leo dropped his fork. Clang. David looked at me, his eyes wide, his mouth hanging open. My mother burst into tears, tears of relief, of shock, of vindication. But Brittany? Brittany looked like she had been slapped. She looked at Henri. Then she looked at me. Her face drained of color. The makeup stood out on her pale skin like war paint on a corpse. Owner? She whispered. You own the resort? I do, I said softly. I walked over to her. I stood right in her personal space. I bought this property 4 years ago, Brittany. I designed this dining room. I chose the chef. I approved the wine list you've been criticizing all night. I picked up her glass of dirty martini. And this drink? I asked. I paid for it. Just like I paid for your flight. Just like I paid for your massage yesterday. Just like I paid for the roof over your head this entire week. Brittany started to shake. I didn't know, she stammered. Morgan, It was a joke. You know how I am. We're family. Family? I asked. I looked at Leo. Leo, what did your mom say earlier? About me? Leo looked down at his shoes. She said you're not family. She said you're a stray. I turned back to Brittany. You were right, Brittany. I'm not family. I'm a stray. I leaned in close. And strays don't pay for VIP villas. Brittany's eyes welled up with tears. Real tears. Tears of terror. Morgan, please, she begged, grabbing my arm. Don't do this. We can't afford this trip on our own. David is broke. We maxed out the credit cards just to buy clothes for this week. I looked at her hand on my arm. Don't touch me, I said. She recoiled as if burned. I turned to Henri. Henri, I said. Yes, Miss Vance? This party is over. Please revoke the friends and family discount on Villa 1. Retroactively, Brittany gasped. A sound like a dying animal. Revoke, she screeched. That was 100% off. Correct, I said. And now it is 0% off. Prepare the bill for the full rack rate. 7 nights, the flights, the spa treatments, the dinners, and the breakage fee for the plate my mother dropped earlier. Henri nodded. Of course. And the guests? They are trespassing, I said. I looked at Brittany one last time. You wanted me to leave? I'm leaving. I'm going to my penthouse. You have 1 hour to vacate my property. And for Dias. 1 hour, Brittany screamed. It's dark. Where will we go? There's a Motel 6 on the highway, I said. It fits your budget. And your attitude. I turned to my parents. Mom, Dad? I said gently. You can stay. I'll have you move to the presidential suite. Just the 2 of you. Thank you, honey, my dad whispered, glaring at David. We'll be there. David tried to step forward. Morgan, please. Be reasonable. It's Leo. He's a kid. Leo is a child you are raising to be a bully, I said. Maybe a night in a motel will teach him some humility. And David? If you ever let your wife speak to me like that again, you're cut off too. Forever. David stepped back, defeated. He knew I meant it. I walked out of the dining room. Behind me, I heard Brittany screaming at Henri. I heard Henri calmly calling security. I walked out onto the terrace. The cool ocean breeze hit my face. I took a deep breath. It smelled like salt. It smelled like freedom. From the balcony, 20 minutes later, I watched. I saw a bellhop cart being wheeled out to the parking lot. I saw Brittany, still in her neon dress, dragging a suitcase, crying hysterically. I saw David arguing with the front desk manager about the bill, a bill that I knew was over $40,000. They were escorted off the property by 2 security guards. They drove away in their rental car, an economy sedan, not the luxury SUV they had demanded. My parents and I had a wonderful rest of the week. We drank wine, we laughed, we reconnected without the toxic noise of Brittany. As for my brother and his wife, they are currently facing bankruptcy. The bill from the resort maxed out their cards and triggered a financial audit. David is staying on a friend's couch. Brittany moved back in with her mother. She tried to text me yesterday. A long, rambling apology about stress and misunderstandings. I didn't reply. I just forwarded her the link to the resort's website. Specifically, the page that says, "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone." If you enjoyed this story of luxury revenge, hit that like button and subscribe. And remember, be careful who you call a stray. They might just own the kennel. See you in the next one.